All right, UFC 239 main event, Thiago Santos, Jon Jones. Why does Thiago Santos have a chance to win this fight against Jon Jones?
Well, traditionally, if you look at Jon Jones, guys who have been as tall or taller than him, we could say has had trouble with.
Right.
The fights have been tougher with guys who are bigger than him. The greatest fight being the first fight against Gustafsson. But Thiago Santos is a well-rounded, tough, durable guy with knockout power, good ground. I mean, he's as tough an opponent as Jones has had in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. And you've had situations like this throughout the history of the sport, really, where you just have this dominant champion, and who.
This isn't about a dominant champion. This is about the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, Jon Jones. We're at a point now where to keep saying, he's it. Jon Jones is it. Nightmare outside of the octagon, nightmare for opponents inside the octagon, And when you look at what this guy has been able to do, the fact that we can sit here, I call him the greatest, you don't disagree, and most other people wouldn't either, and the lifestyle that he's lived, outside the octagon is pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy is a freak of nature. He's phenomenal. He's the best ever. And Thiago Santos is a beast, and this should be a very good fight.
Well, it seems like, Jon, for all of whatever's happened in his past, this is his third fight in 8 months, and he's like, line him up. So as a promoter, what you're saying is absolutely correct. This guy is the greatest. It's hard to give him a challenge. So where are you looking around? Do you think they're at 205? Do you think they're at heavyweight? Where are the challenges for this guy?
Well, the beautiful thing with Jon Jones right now is that, I think that mentally he's in a good place. He understands the mistakes he made. He sees the window closing. Age gets us all. Father Time is undefeated, right? So he's taking this very serious. He wants to get his name back. He wants to get the respect from the fans and the people in the business back. And he's staying busy. I love how active he's being, and I'm happy for him.
Do you like him? I mean, light heavyweight looks, honestly, better than it has in years past. I mean, tough guys coming up. In addition to Thiago Santos, Dominic Reyes, Johnny Walker, Luke Rockhold's coming up. Do you like those challenges for Jon? Or, for years, literally years, we've been talking about the guy going to heavyweight. Which side of that spectrum are you on?
Yeah, I think that exactly like you said, there's still a lot of challenges at 205. When you're here, it's very hard to stay there. There's young guys coming up that are younger, faster, stronger. They've been studying Jon Jones for years, and it's hard to stay there. So he can do that, or he could move to heavyweight. I don't know what he wants to do. This guy's legacy is cemented no matter what he does. If he stays at light heavyweight and continues to reign until he decides to stop or gets beat, or if he moves up to heavyweight, it's all good for him.
Mm-hmm. Last question on this, and not to dismiss Thiago Santos' chances. He could definitely win this fight. But
100%.
if Jones wins, Daniel Cormier, he doesn't have a whole lot of time left in this sport. How important is it for you to make that fight? Is it real high on your priority list, or if it happens, it happens?
Cormier's got this fight coming up with Stipe. He gets past Stipe, he's probably got 2 fights left in his career. Mm-hmm. And I would expect that one of those would probably be Jon Jones. And hopefully at heavyweight. I know that they both said, I think Jon said, I don't want to move up to heavyweight to fight him. I'll fight him at 205. And then Cormier said, well, I don't want to beat him at heavyweight. I want to beat him at 205. So it's, those two, trying to get those two to agree on anything. They do agree on fighting at 205, but I'd like to see it at heavyweight.
Yeah, but you as a promoter, it's important to you. You would like, it's important to you to make that third fight. That's a fight that you want to make again.
Well, if you look at Cormier's career, another all-time great, the only guy to ever beat him is Jon Jones, and he's beat him twice. Does that fight have to happen? No. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't have to happen, but I think a lot of people would like to see it again.
How about Amanda Nunes? She's almost in a similar boat as Jon Jones. Not quite the same, obviously, but if she beats Holly Holm, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko, Chris Cyborg, and Holly Holm is a very tough test, but do you see a lot of challenges still out there for Amanda Nunes as well?
Again, another GOAT, the greatest female fighter of all time and one of the best ever in the sport. The Holly Holm fight is big for her. I know that she wants to fight Cyborg again. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see how that plays out. But there's always going to be challengers. There's always going to be somebody. And if her and Valentina continue, their reign of terror in both weight classes, those two could hook up again too.
Ben Askren was in here earlier, and he's been saying this not just in this room, but in others, that he beats Jorge Masvidal and he gets a hold of the mic. He thinks he'll skip right ahead of Colby Covington because people just they don't care about Colby Covington anymore. That's what he said. What do you think?
Yeah, listen, Colby Covington has dragged this thing out for a very long time, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, you got Usman's hurt right now. When you have guys that are hurt, guys that don't fight when they're supposed to fight, and then, these are the things that happen. When you don't take a title fight right when it's offered to you, the chances of you, getting that next shot are slim to none. We'll see how this thing plays out.
Do you have any idea when Usman could defend his title?
I do know, but off the top of my head right here, I don't remember.
Okay. But it sounds like it's possible. It is at least possible that if Ben goes out and has a great performance against George, that he could.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Anything is possible.
So Henry Cejudo goes out and has an amazing performance against Marlon Moraes with a bad shoulder, a bad elbow. A bad ankle.
Yeah.
You and I talked before that event, and you said, hey, if this guy wants to defend both belts, he seems like he could be the guy to do it. Then he immediately gets surgery, which is not his fault, but now he's out for a little while. Does that change your opinion at all about, like, hey, can a guy defend two titles in two weight classes? It's difficult to do.
Yeah, of course. And the question is, if you find the right guy, which I believe that Henry is, just like I believe Amanda could defend both belts that she has, it's about staying healthy. There's no question this guy could. After that fight with Marlon, wow, blown away by the performance that he had. And he can defend both, but you can't if you're not healthy.
Mm-hmm. So what does that mean for you then? How does that affect your decision making?
I got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Which belt do you think he will defend next, though? Let's say the time frame is 4 to 5 months. Do you feel like you have a number one contender at bantamweight? Do you feel like you have a better one at flyweight? Which way do you lean?
I feel like he just beat the killer at 145 pounds. I mean, Marlon Moraes, if you look at what he's done in his last 4 fights leading up to the Cejudo fight, the guy is an absolute stud. And the way that Cejudo handled him, I think Cejudo probably boosted his confidence in that fight, and why cut that weight if you can stay there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying.
That's how you feel today. Yeah. How about Tony Ferguson? It's been a few weeks since his win over Cowboy. Have you spoke to him at all? Has he mentioned anything? What he wants next? What you think could be next for him? What kind of conversations have you had?
We haven't talked since the fight. I don't know. I don't know. I'm letting him take some time off, and we'll figure out what's next for him. Obviously he wants a title shot, but those two, Poirier and Khabib, are fighting in September, so I don't know if he'll want to fight again before that.
And when's the last conversation you had with Conor McGregor?
Nothing has changed with Conor McGregor since the last time I talked to you. He wants the rematch, and again, we'll see how this thing plays out in September.
He wants that rematch with Khabib. I could see a world in which he would want to show up to Abu Dhabi. Could you anticipate the possibility of him showing up to that event?
He could. He could, possibly. He hasn't said, I'm not
breaking any news here.
Exactly. I'm saying, he could probably show up to that fight, but I don't know if he will. He hasn't said anything to me.
Would you want him there, based on some of the stuff that was said, before their fight and then after it, that region,
Sure, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think, I honestly believe that in that region they like Conor McGregor too. Yeah. And you have to remember. I know that they take things a little serious when stuff is said, but Khabib won the fight, and I think that it's all just trash talk leading up to, obviously, Khabib and Conor. There's no love lost. Those guys do not like each other, but it's part of the business. Culturally, I don't think it's I don't think so. I would have no problem with Conor showing up there.
Okay. Just a few more guys I want to ask you about. One of them is Jose Aldo, and this whole year, he's been saying that he's got 3 fights left on his contract. He's down to the last one. And I'm just wondering if you've had any, do you want to re-sign him? Do you think?
We did re-sign him.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
He signed a new contract?
Yeah.
Okay. So he has more than 1 fight left on his contract.
Yeah, he signed a deal with us a while ago. Maybe
Really?
a month ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Did I miss this? Did this come out anywhere?
I don't know.
Huh. So his future is obviously MMA. I mean, because he had been saying that he wanted to box for a while, but that's.
No, he's staying with us.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, we got a new deal with him.
All right. Any talks about his next fight? Because a lot of times when you guys talk about contract extensions, you talk about his next fight.
We're talking about that right now too. You'll know when it happens.
Okay. How about Darren Till? He's been kind of quiet since his loss in London. There's a lot of talk about would he go to middleweight, would he stay at welterweight? Have you had discussions with him?
I think Till went back to the drawing board. He's a young guy, and after the win over Cowboy, we might have pushed him a little too soon.
Mm-hmm.
It happens sometimes when a guy gets that much steam behind him, and pump the brakes a little here, let him get back and work on things that he needs to work on, and he's going to be around.
Yeah. What does that mean, pump the brakes? Does that mean give him more time between fights, give him
well,
more
no,
unranked opponents? I mean, how do you kind of slow that down?
You come in and beat a guy like Cowboy, and boom, you immediately get bounced right up into the middle of the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, it's the perfect time, and some people are a little soon.
Mm-hmm.
That weight division is nasty. I mean, it's all, those guys right there, it's like murderer's row and that top 8. So, we'll give him some time, look for a next opponent, and see what's next for him.
Do you think he's staying at welterweight, though?
That I don't know.
Okay.
That I don't know.
Dana White Contender Series, it started last week. I wanted to revisit just real quickly one thing. You, this Brendan Loughnane guy, you were very clear in what you told him, that you thought he was skilled, that you thought he had a good fight, but you were annoyed that he went for that takedown at the end, that you want guys on that show to go for the finish at all times. It's
not even go for the finish. You got 10 seconds left in the fight. Show us you want to win. Show us how bad you want it. You're there. There's no question what this show is about. This isn't Saturday night's fights and you're in the UFC and you're trying. This is I'm there. We're watching, and we want to see what you got. You don't double leg when the 10-second thing claps and you're going to go for a double leg. It's not what I'm looking for.
Well, later that night, he posted a video of him urinating blood, and one big reaction that people had to that is that, like, look, this guy left it all out there. He's urinating blood. Yeah, did that change at all your opinion of what you told him that night?
So this guy, this guy is talented. He's a good fighter. He put on a good fight. He's not what I was looking for. Not what I was looking for that night. Period. End of story. And if I'm wrong, he's a free agent. Everybody can sign him. He was on our show. Show does great, does good numbers. He's available. If I'm wrong, somebody else can pick him up, and according to, the people who are complaining about it, it must be a big score. So, go for it.
Okay, fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like I got this guy locked up and he's all locked up with me and I fought and I didn't take him or whatever. He's available to any other promoter out there in the world. So if I'm wrong, knock yourself out.
Give him a call.
Knock yourself out, yeah. It's a great thing about the show. These kids get this platform to showcase who they are, their skills. I think that the features tell their stories really well. I love the features. And you get to learn who these guys are. And if I'm wrong and you think that I didn't make the right choice, then he's on the free market and his stock must have went through the roof. Because according to guys who apparently know more than me, these MMA media guys who literally know apparently know more than me, well then sign him. Sign him. And I don't want to sound negative toward the kid. He's a great kid. I love his story. He's a tough kid. And he definitely put on a good fight against a tough guy. And even in his interview, to be honest with you, and his interview afterward, he's like, I fought a tough guy. This guy's tough, and Then I got the guy, the Hawaiian, who's swinging with everything he's got to win this fight by knockout, trying to finish the fight, and at the end of the fight, he cries because he didn't finish the fight. I'll go with that guy.
All right.
That's the guy I'm looking for.
Last thing I'll ask you about, you just got back from Shanghai. How is the country responding to what you're doing over there? Building this big facility. China is a tough market to get into, right? It's not the easiest thing. But now you have that facility, and you have Weili Zhang, who's fighting for a title. What is the status of the UFC brand and its growth now in China at this moment?
Yeah, obviously this facility that we built over there is a game changer for the sport, and the UFC in China. I mean, I've literally flew over there for a day. I was there for one day, did the grand opening, media and all that stuff, and then flew back the next morning. And I wish I stayed longer. Shanghai is an incredible city. The facility that we built is like nothing I've ever seen before. So this is going to give so many people in that country that have talent the opportunity to train with real strength and conditioning coaches, striking, grappling, physical therapists. They're going to be able to eat right and do all the things they need to do to compete at a global level. And watch what this does for the sport in China in the next, let's say, 3 years.
3 years.
Over the next 3 years, watch what happens. Then we already got the dirt in Mexico City, so we're going to do it in Mexico City. I'm going to pick 2 more spots in Mexico, and I'm going to open one in Puerto Rico. So the next 10 years is going to be very interesting.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming and special content, subscribe to ESPN+.